Good morning. It is Jane with Scraptastic Yarns. And on today's What Whip with Coffee, and yes, I do have coffee, I'm going to work on that Tunisian baby blanket in the other color that I was doing. I can just sip. And I know some of you said that you thought that it was already baby blanket size. I think it's just a tad short. Needs to be a little bit longer. It would be fine for putting it over the baby in the baby seat, but it does need to be a little bit longer for like a crib. All right. Now I have one thing to show you, and this is because Marie had asked what the shirt said. So there you have it. That's what it says. It says, yes, I'm bilingual. I speak fluent crochet. And the very bottom says, there you have it, chain 5, single crochet in next chain space twice, chain 5, skip next DC, double crochet in next DC, chain 1, skip next DC, DC and next DC 6 times twice. So there you have it. There's that shirt, Maria. I hope you did enjoy that little bit of a video, that little piece there. I was going to take a picture and send it to you, but I've just been busy. I do the Awana, and we're winding up towards the end of our session for this season. So we're working real hard to get the kids to get all of their points, because the first Wednesday, May the 1st, I believe that's the first Wednesday, the kiddos get to have an ice cream party. And with this ice cream party, the way that it works is you have so many points and toppings for your ice cream you have to pay for by points. So if you want the real good stuff, like the hard shell stuff, that's like, I think, 300 or 400 points. And most of these kids wind up with, a couple, probably about 1,200 to 1,500 points. But the very first party, of course, they had no idea what the prices, what the toppings were going to cost in their point system. So that was rather interesting. And of course, the adults, we take each child through so that they can get their points. And it's rather fun, but at the same time, it's kind of stressful because, with all the kiddos waiting in line, everybody wants their ice cream. They want to eat together. So yeah, that's kind of a fun thing. And then on the 15th, no, May the 8th is our last regular. May the 1st is our last regular. May the 8th is the ice cream party. And then on the 15th, we have an awards ceremony where they receive little trophies and all kinds of extra little goodies. It has been fun doing this. I am what is called a floater, which means I am to be present every week. I am someone who helps the table leader at the table with getting the kids their verses and getting them checked off, and their little gems, wings, and stuff like that. And the young man that is with me is a senior in high school, and he wants to be a teacher, a school teacher. And let me tell you, he is so good with those kids. He's just going to make a great teacher. Well, he goes off to college next year. He goes to Cedarville. And I had told the fellow that heads up Awana, I said, I'm really going to miss him because he is so good with those kids, and it's so much fun because we tease each other all the time, and I consider him a friend. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I know his family pretty well. His grandmother used to be a doctor in our community in the past, but she had retired because of health issues. And she is a little pistol herself from the Philippines. So she is an interesting young lady. And I like to give her a little grief, and she gives me a little grief, and we just love each other. So that's the way it should be, right? But yeah, it's a lot of fun with those kids. And I was worried at first because, like I told you at the very beginning, when they made the call for volunteers, I'd really prayed about it, and I wasn't real sure that I wanted to do it. And I kept getting this urging from the Lord that yes, this is where He wanted me to do what He wanted me to do. And so when I came in, I had told the fellow that was gathering it and starting it, he'd asked me, he said, "Jane, I'm surprised to see you here." I said, "Well, I kept praying about it, and the Lord said, you know what?" I said, "I had told the Lord I don't wanna, but the Lord said you're gonna." So that's how it ended up, but I absolutely love doing it. I was nervous because I haven't been around school-age children in many years. So, that's kind of, when you get out of being around that age of children, you're kind of nervous when you get back around them. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And these kiddos, oh my goodness, they are so funny. Oh yeah, they are hilarious. And of course, yes, last night was backwards day. So all the kiddos had everything on backwards. Clothes on backwards. They tried to put their shoes on backwards, but that didn't work too well. When we went into the main classroom to sit down, some of the kids sat in their chairs backwards. It was rather funny. And of course, when we walked to the classroom after the little play session, all the kids were walking backwards. So it's a lot of fun. The cats have been realizing they can jump. Izzy, most especially, she has been jumping. Like, she will get up in my chair where I sit normally when I'm looking at the computer, watching videos, that kind of stuff, or doing work on the computer. She will get up in my lap, and she will literally leap across from there into the next chair. And she's finally figured out that she can jump from the floor up onto my small bedside dresser. So now she likes to do that in the morning and do what I call a run bypass, where she runs across the top of my head to wake me up. Yes, I have lovely cats. I've told you how she walks up on my body to sniff me. Or she'll get up there and she likes to lay on my shoulder while I'm sleeping. I sleep on my sides mostly. And, she rather enjoys that. So it's rather funny to see her do that. And last night when I come into the house from the garage. And when I came in, she was waiting at the door, and she ran out into the garage, and she realized that she wasn't where she was supposed to be. She comes flying past me and up onto the bed. I could hear her get up on the bed, and I'm like, "Izzy, what were you doing?" She comes out just tail switching like, "I don't know." And she had her ears back. She was scared. So it was rather funny to see her do that. But she is my little, what I will call my daredevil. She is the one that likes to do things, get into things, instigate things. Ronan is rather cautious, a little more laid back. He watches her, and there are times that he will follow what she does, but other times he's like, "I don't know, sister. That looks a little on the dangerous side. I don't think I should be doing that. Mama might get me." So he will be laid back and just kind of watch. her, and yeah, it's funny to see the difference in the two cats. Now, Ronan at night sometimes doesn't always sleep with me. Izzy sleeps with me every night, most of the night, until it's time to get up and play at 3 a.m. in the morning. But Ronan likes to sleep in my closet on my shoes. I don't know what that is about. But you know, cats are strange. They're going to do what they're going to do. So you just kind of have to laugh about it and go on. Ronan, no, that is not for you to play with. He likes to play with the cords on the Tunisian hooks. He thinks it's playtime when I'm crocheting lots of times. So many times I have to reach up and grab that cord and hold the cord in my hand so he doesn't play with it, which is kind of awkward, but you know, you just get used to it. Have you guys seen where Lynn Ann is going to be doing a tea cow? She's going to be doing a shawl. It is a beautiful shawl. It's a great shawl. It is a great first shawl practice for some of the things. And I have thought about doing it. I'm thinking about doing it before, because I was planning on doing one where we make, you know, the make-along, the Tunisian make-along with the shawl that was done by Arnie Grabowski. And I was thinking about redoing that pattern and just going through it. I have been trying to reach her to see if it would be okay to do it in a video. So far, I don't know if she, maybe she's no longer alive. I don't know. I do know that she did have some health issues, so I'm still trying to find a way to contact her. Because I think it would be a great thing to do. Great amount of fun. It's be a great learning experience. You, of course, would need a Tunisian crochet hook with a nice long cord. That is something you're going to need if you do Lynn Ann's tea cow. So the reason they're called a TK is it's Tunisian crochet along. Of course, she's doing some prizes for hers. I hadn't decided if I would do prizes or not. Just because I think the prize is getting to see a piece of work that you've done, you know. But who knows? We'll see what I'm going to do with it. Planning, plotting and planning, those kind of things. It's a lot of stuff to do. I have a friend that is in another country. He's a doctor that's working with a medical group that works in Syria. And it's rather funny. He contacted me the other day, called, and he said, "Have you been watching the news?" I said, "No, not really, although I do have a friend that did say that, you know, Iran had sent over missiles, drone missiles, those kind of things to Israel." And he goes, "Yeah, but the U.S. is in there too." And I'm like, He goes, "I think it's going to be the start of World War III. I said, I don't think so. I think Iran is just trying to show off a little bit, you know, since Israel had attacked some of their Syrian, some of the Houthi, I think it's Houthi, in, not Syria, in Iran at Damascus. So I think, not Damascus. Yeah, they were in Damascus, Syria, where they had attacked. I said, I think that's what the whole thing was about. And he goes, I don't know. So we'll see, right? Who knows? The world is a crazy place these days. And we were talking with some of the teachers last night at Awana, And we were talking about kids, that think they identify as cats. And one of the teachers said, well, we do have a cat litter box in our bathroom there at the school. And we just kind of looked at her and she goes, yeah, we have a kid that identifies as a cat. And I'm like, who has to scoop that? And she just kind of looked at me and shrugged. And I said, I would say that if we were going to put in a litter box, whoever's parent of that child is would have to come scoop the litter box daily. People, things are getting ridiculous, And I do like that joke where the kid, is at the dinner table and says, Dad, I identify as a cat, and Mom and Dad are like, well, then I guess you need to work for your dinner. We've been needing a mouser out in the bar, and it's time for you to go out and catch a few mice, and then, that'll be your dinner. And the kid finally comes around and says, no, I identify as a child again, a human. That's what I thought. Now eat your dinner. So, people, why are we putting up with this nonsense? And I had a pastor who talked about, lately it seems the running notion is those who are the smallest and the weakest, they rule the roost. We're letting them dictate the way that we do things, and I blame it because the whole society of everybody gets a reward, everybody gets a trophy. I blame it on a lot of that. Yeah, we have a lot of bullying in school. I don't see that that's gotten any better. I think it's actually gotten worse than from when my children were kids in school. And basically, I think a lot of that comes down to the way the parents parent, Honestly, I think if you find that your child is a bully and you just ignore it, then you are condoning what your child is doing. So I think a lot of that has to do with parenting. I don't think it has to do with a lot of other things, and sometimes when you get down to the root of it, it winds up being that the parent actually, in a sense, bullies their child, and that's what the child learns. So, I don't know. How are we going to fix today? Who knows? It's going to get rather crazy. I had someone, we were talking, it's another YouTuber, and we were talking about the way that the algorithm goes and the way things are going on in the YouTube streets. And I was talking with her, telling her, I'm seeing a lot of these younger people that are coming in and wanting to do markets and, making a lot of plushies. And lately, those are a lot of the channels that I've been finding, and they want you to go along with their prep. And we were talking about an issue which I knew about, but somehow I find it counterproductive for channels to do this. But I've made mention of, I'm seeing some of these channels that have less than 300, subscribers, and they've supposedly got thousands of views on their, on the one video. And so we were talking about, you do know that you can buy subscribers. And I think, yeah, I knew that. But I also know that when you buy those subscribers, they're not always loyal to your channel. They don't always come back to watch. They'll help you get to a certain point, but that's about it. And somehow buying people to watch your channel just doesn't seem right. So we were talking about that. I noticed Google has recently sent out a change to some of their terms of service, you know. And I noticed that there's a section down there for AI, which I find rather interesting. And I've been watching a few other channels that talk about building channels, building faceless channels, and about how people are using AI to create faceless channels. And a lot of people flock to them. Of course, a lot of the information that they're getting, I would call half-baked information. Because a lot of the channels that are using that are travel channels and what I call money wealth channels on how to make money. And what I find interesting with those channels are many times with those make money channels, what you'll find is the one thing that I always find interesting is very rarely do any of them start where you can start with zero money. So I do kind of laugh about that. That's why I call them half-baked, because a lot of people who are searching for ways to make money don't actually have money, and they would like to find a way to be able to do something. Had to get Ronan out from under my feet. Had to find a way to make some money with practically nothing. I would like to see, and I have challenged someone who does this for a living, and he's made quite a bit of money doing it. I've challenged him to do it with $0. You know, take it from $0, having nothing, to creating that fund, that money fund. You know, and when you watch some of these, they give you some information, but they don't give you everything you need to know to do that. One of the channels that I watch, I think is, I love her channel, but it's always, you got to buy this, you've got to have a subscription to this, you can use Canva or Kindle for this. You know, you can use Canva and Kindle with a free subscription for a lot of things. However, if you want to create, say, a planner in either one of those, you can plan it, even create a Fabrica. You know, you can create those things free, but in order for you to sell them, you have to pay for the pro plans that they have. Otherwise, you can't use it for commercial use. You know, it's just like if I were to go to Etsy and I want to download some small PNGs to use for shirts or things like that, I have to pay for those. And by paying for those, the person who has created them gives you commercial license to use them for anything you would like to use them for. You know, t-shirts, bags, whatever. So that's what you're doing when you pay for those pro plans, you know, at those places. And yes, it's going to cost you a monthly fee in order to use that and sell those things commercially, because that's what you're doing when you sell something like that. The only other way to get around that is like with what Summer of Summer's Tips and Stitches. Her, well, was it her husband who drew the holy hats? Holy cats, that's a lot of hats. So they had drawn those pictures themselves, and they are using them. So if you are an artist, you could certainly do that, you know. Create stickers. I know stickers are a big thing. school teachers, kids, even adults. They like to get those stickers because they use them scrapbooking, they use them for journaling, they use them for all kinds of things. So, yeah, I do see where you can make some money with those, but you need to make sure you have those proper licenses in your hand, in other words, to be able to do them. So if you can't draw, you're going to, use other people who can draw. And most likely you're going to have an agreement to do those. I was telling my friend I have, for our local hospital here, UPMC, many times I will make the baseball hats that they use for the newborns during Little League season. And then at Mother's Day and different holidays, lots of times, they will ask some of us to crochet knit patterns that they have put out there for that season that their marketing team has chosen. Well, I got a message asking if I could help, and basically they're wanting to use a certain pattern, uses DK weight yarn, which sometimes is hard to find here in our area, but it is a flower fairy hat for the newborns. It's absolutely adorable. Now, he had sent a message and asking me to do it in pale yellow or ginger neutral colors. And I sent back a message, yeah, I'll be happy to help. But yellow? And I had pointed out, I said, yeah, I'll do some in yellow, but I'd rather do some like in cream or white or an off-white, like this little flower hat. And I had asked him, I said, did the marketing team even ask any of the nurses what colors might be suitable for newborns? I said, because yellow generally makes newborns look sick, look jaundiced. But I have to make a trip to Hobby Lobby to find some yarn. And I do think they do have a nice, what they are calling ivory, that is kind of like a cream color in, 3-weight yarn, because the pattern calls for DK weight. And he'd also sent notes because he had someone who tried to make one and had difficulty with the pattern. Well, I've printed off the pattern. I'm reading through the pattern and I'm like, why'd they have difficulty with it? And he'd also sent the notes that the person had written with the pattern. So we're going to see how it's going to go. I'm going to make a couple. Hopefully I'll be done with the other hats this week. Like I said, I have a couple left to do. And I will make a couple and we'll see how they go. But they do want gender neutral, and I'm just curious how those yellow hats look. And I'm kind of surprised I don't want light lavender or even a light green, or I don't know. Especially with, nowadays with babies and gender, you put any color on babies. Put pink on babies too, so what, boy babies, so what's the difference now? Gray, although I don't think a gray flower would look very cute. So it'll be interesting to see, what the end result is of this flower. I did notice the person that wrote the pattern stated you do have to have a very tight tension when you are making the petal part so that the petals will curl up. And I'm like, I'm a loosey-goosey crocheter. I do know how to tighten up my tension. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see what the end result of these hats is. Like I said, I don't understand why people were having a problem. I mean, she's got in there where it tells you whether she wants you to go into the stitch or the space in between the stitches. And I think maybe that's what causes a lot of problems for a lot of people, is they don't understand using the spaces in between crochet stitches. But I will tell you, if you've ever used any of that, what I always call homespun, sometimes you can't get in the stitches. Going in between the stitches makes it much easier. And it does create a different little bit of a fabric. So, I'm like, that shouldn't be any problem. I mean, after all, you've got a nice big hook. Nice big hook calls for a 3mm hook. So yeah, it should, like I said, it should be interesting. Plus to see how many I can get done before Mother's Day. I always give them grief because they always do it at the last minute. I'm like, you know it's coming up every year. Come on. Can't you do better than that? Now, for the baseball hats, I have always had those ready to go each year. Because I know it happens every year. Little League is every year in Williamsport, and I know they want those hats. So I try to provide them every year. And of course, it's not so much the baby hat that's hard to make, it's the stitching to put on the hat to make it look like a baseball. However, this year I was thinking about, instead of actually using yarn, actually using some paint. And then I thought, no, it's babies. I shouldn't use the paint. I'll use who knows? Decisions. But then again, babies shouldn't be eating their hats at that age, so maybe it'll be okay, right? Maybe it'll be okay. One of the other things I was talking with someone was about doing lives, and about how you try to stay out of another person's lane who's already doing lives certain times. And, I've come to this kind of conclusion. Nowadays, you can't really do that for your channel. People are going to come to your channel or they're not. So, and they're going to come to your lives if they enjoy being in that company. So, I just find it interesting that everybody tiptoes around everybody else's schedule. Now, I'm not saying that's not a good thing to do, but I am saying there are only so many hours in the day, and there are only so many days of the week. And if you have someone that's going live several times a week, always, and you don't normally go live, but if you have a time schedule where you can go live, go live. Do it. Don't worry about someone else's schedule. Yes, it is good etiquette to stay out of that lane, but sometimes you just can't do that. You got to do what you got to do. Let's stop being so persnickety with each other. There's always the replay anyway. What's the big to do about it? So yeah. Sorry about that. That's another thing. Being around kids, you pick up everything they get. No, a lot of this is allergies. Spring is sprung. Dandelions are out. Dandelions drive me nuts. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Putting up with allergies. Trying to get outside and do some gardening, doing some things. That's been fun too. especially with the cats. Cats sit outside, sit by the door watching me like, what are you doing? Can we come out? I'm like, no, you're not coming out. I know these two. And I just feel it's a little dangerous to let cats in and out around here. There are too many critters that come through. Plus, I don't want the fleas. I don't want the ticks. I don't want to have to constantly check them for ticks and fleas and give them all those chemicals to keep them from getting fleas and ticks. So, they're inside cats. I think that's safe. Besides, who wants them to go out there, catch a bird, and try to bring it in the house? Not me. I had an inside-outside cat when I was younger. My little Mitten used to do that. He would bring me gifts, although he knew that it upset me when he brought me dead gifts. Then he began bringing live gifts. And of course, one of the times he brought in a lizard. Now, I was the kind of kid, I was out there always in what we called the hills, where I lived in Roswell, New Mexico. I was always out there catching lizards, catching snakes, catching horny toads. In fact, I used to catch horny toads and put them in a shoebox with sand and stuff and watch them. And it wasn't until I got much older I realized that some of those horny toads that I got together that would spit each other, hiss at each other, were actually two males, but I didn't know that when I was younger. But I would sit and I would watch them and play with them, for probably about 30, 40 minutes. And then I'd let them go and, they went on their merry way. But anyway, my cat got to the point where he started bringing in live animals. One time he brought in a live lizard. Well, he put the lizard down at my feet and I was standing next to my mother. My mother was frightened of lizards. I've never seen my mother move so fast. I think she literally leapt from the chair she was sitting at to the breakfast nook, which was 3 feet away, in one swift move. And of course she was screaming and hollering and, oh my God, get it out of here, get it out of here. So I picked it up and I was trying to show it to her. It's just a lizard. And I was trying to tell her about the lizard. She's screaming, get it out of here, get it out of here. So, of course, I got it out of there. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe you touched that. Go wash your hands. So, that's one of my funnier memories of my mother, of her being on that breakfast nook. Her house coat, she'd wrapped it around her knees like it was going to protect her. I don't know. And her screaming about that stupid lizard. And my cat, Mitten, looking as smug as could be. Of course, he watched me pick up, catch the lizard and take and put it outside. Of course, he wanted outside to go get his lizard, so he went outside. But, yeah, that is another reason I don't want to have cats that are in and out. I don't want the gifts. Izzy as it is, she's got to bring one of her toys to bed every night. So I think that's gift enough. I'll pass on the gifts. Well, guys, I think I have chatted on about nothing long enough. I hope you have gotten some of your project worked on. Like I said, I'm just adding to this one. I'm going to continue to work for a little bit. Because I have an appointment in just a bit. And yeah, I will see you guys again soon. Remember, be a little kinder to yourself, be kinder to one another, and I'll see you again pretty soon. Bye.